All right, let's talk about avoidant attachment style. So what does this mean? What does avoidant attachment mean, and what creates avoidant attachment? Well, avoidant attachment is pretty much what it says in the title, and that is these people avoid people and they avoid relationships. These are the ones that really struggle to commit in a relationship. So let's just go back a little bit and see what this looks like and what creates this. This form of attachment style is created by a parent or caregiver who is completely avoidant themselves. They're not there emotionally, mentally, and sometimes physically for their children. They are neglectful. So they neglect the needs of the child's physical being, mental well-being, and emotional well-being. They are not emotionally connecting with their children. They are distant. They are aloof. They're not there. So these children in infancy and in young childhood learn how to become hyper independent. And if you are a hyper independent person later on in life, this is somewhat of a trauma response because you've been taught that you cannot rely on a caregiver for your needs. So the child learns very early on that their needs aren't going to be met. So they put up walls and they become very distant and avoidant themselves. This is the child that literally when the parent leaves, there'll be no emotional reaction. They don't care. And when the parent returns, they're not excited to see the parent. They don't care. They're learning how to take care of themselves emotionally, mentally, and physically at a very young age. So what does this look like in an adult and in a relationship? Well, it looks like the typical commitment phobe. The one that really struggles to commit in relationships, the one that they tend to attract the anxious attachment. And that's the worst style that they could attract. And it's the worst style an anxious attachment could be in because these people are avoidant. So they just trigger each other. It's terrible. But an avoidant person will struggle with intimacy. They will struggle with affection and love. They will struggle with showing any of these things because it's foreign to them. It's uncomfortable for them. They've learned how to put up massive walls, and it's really hard to break those walls down. They don't trust. They keep people at a distance. It feels safe to them. So these are the ones, and a lot of men struggle with this style of attachment. They really do. Because they're taught that they can't show emotions and they can't be vulnerable and they can't, show emotions or being weak or crying or any sort of form of vulnerability. So you'll find that a lot of men are avoidant in their style of attachment. So these are the ones that most women tend to struggle with. It's the commitment phobe, the one that really has a hard time attaching to anybody. So stay tuned for part 4 with disorganized attachment.